From the mud of Stalingrad to the frozen Arctic, these machines were built to survive anything. This is every Ilyushin aircraft ever made. Let's start with the roots and the Great Patriotic War. The struggle for survival. TSKB-26, the record breaker, the grandfather, the prototype that put Ilyushin on the map. It set altitude and speed records in the 1930s, proving Soviet engineering could compete with the West. TSKB-30 Moskva, the Red Hero, the specific bomber that flew non-stop from Moscow to North America in 1939. It crash-landed in a swamp in Canada, but it proved the Soviets could reach the USA. DB-3, the Long Ranger, the father of the IL-4. Before the war, this was the primary long-range bomber of the Soviet Air Force. IL-4, the Night Worker, the Long Arm. While the front lines burned, the IL-4 flew deep into enemy territory. It famously bombed Berlin in 1941, just weeks after the German invasion began, sending a message that the Soviets weren't dead yet. IL-2, Sturmovik, the Flying Tank, the legend, the most produced military aircraft in history. Stalin said the Red Army needed it like air and bread. Heavily armored and flying low, it was a blunt instrument designed to destroy German panzers. IL-1, the fighter attempt, the identity crisis. In 1944, Ilyushin tried to build a fighter. It was heavily armored and fast, but the Yak-3 and La-7 were already winning the war, so it was scrapped. IL-8, the heavyweight, the rejected brother, an attempt to upgrade the IL-2 by making it bigger and carrying more bombs. It worked, but the Air Force decided speed mattered more than payload. IL-10, the beast evolved, the refinement. By late war, the IL-2 was getting slow. The IL-10 was cleaner, faster, and deadlier. It arrived just in time to crush the final German defenses and went on to fight in Korea. IL-16, the lightweight, the sprinter, a stripped-down, lighter version of the IL-10. It was fast, but the engine was a nightmare and the frame was too weak for combat. IL-32, the silent giant, a massive military glider. No engines, just wings and cargo space. It was designed to be towed by bombers to drop tanks behind enemy lines. Helicopters eventually made it obsolete. Next is the transition and the jet age. The awkward teenage years, moving from propellers to jets. IL-12, the coach, the replacement. The Soviets needed to retire their license-built DC-3s. The IL-12 was the first step toward a modern civilian airliner. IL-14, the crate, the reliable one, what the IL-12 should have been. Rugged and simple, it became the standard VIP transport for Soviet leaders. It could land on ice, dirt, or grass without complaining. IL-22, 1947, the first jet, the experiment, the USSR's first original jet bomber design. It was underpowered and never saw service, but it taught Ilyushin how to build jets. IL-28, Beagle, the Soviet Canberra, the breakthrough, the USSR's first mass-produced jet bomber. Simple, rugged, and easy to export. It served in air forces from Egypt to China for decades. IL-30, the swept wing, the unstable step, a radical jet bomber prototype designed to be faster than the IL-28. It had swept wings and bicycle landing gear, but it was too dangerous to fly. IL-46, the Jet Runner, a twin-jet bomber that competed against the IL-28. It was actually quite good, but the IL-28 was simpler to build, so the IL-46 was left in the dust. IL-54, Blow Lamp, the Supersonic Dash, a brave attempt to build a supersonic bomber in the 1950s. It was cancelled because the Soviet leadership believed missiles made bombers obsolete. Next is the weird and the ugly, the strange experiments that tested the limits of design. IL-20, 1948, the Hunchback, the Ugly Beast, a ground attack prototype where the pilot sat directly on top of the engine for better visibility. The Air Force rejected it purely because it looked too weird. IL-40, Brawny, the Shotgun, an armored jet attacker with two engines in the nose that looked like a double-barreled shotgun. It was cancelled because firing the guns choked the engines with smoke. IL-102, the Abomination, the jet tank, a competitor to the Su-25 Frogfoot. It looked archaic with a rear gunner turret in the jet age. It was tough, but the military chose the more practical Su-25. IL-52, the Flying Wing, the UFO, a radical design from the late 1940s. A massive flying wing bomber meant to carry troops. It looked futuristic, but the military stuck to traditional shapes. Next is the golden age of civil aviation, connecting the massive Soviet Empire. Il-18, Kut, the indestructible, the legend, one of the most reliable aircraft ever built. It opened up routes to Siberia where jet engines couldn't handle the cold. Some are still flying today over 60 years later. Il-62, classic, the White Swan, the flagship, the Soviet answer to the Boeing 707. With 4 engines mounted on the tail, it was the official plane of the Kremlin and introduced the Soviets to intercontinental luxury. Il-86, Camber, the widebody, the bus, the first Soviet wide-body airliner. It was designed with stairs built into the doors so it could land at airports that didn't have terminals. Il-96, the President, the unlucky heir, an advanced 4-engine widebody meant to replace the Il-86. It arrived just as the Soviet Union collapsed. Today, the Il-96-300PU serves as Vladimir Putin's Air Force One. Next is the heavy lifters and special missions. Cargo, spies, science, and lasers. Il-38, May, the Dolphin, the Sub-Hunter, based on the Il-18 airliner, but fitted with a magnetic anomaly detector tail to hunt American submarines. Il-38N, the Sea Dragon, the upgrade, the modern version with the Novella sensor suite that can track 32 targets at once, ships, subs, and planes simultaneously. Il-20/Il-22 Kut variants, the spies, militarized versions of the Il-18 bristling with antennas. They intercept radio signals and coordinate battles. Il-76 Candid, the workhorse, the icon. If you see a Russian military cargo plane, it is this one. With its glass chin navigator station, it can land heavy tanks on dirt strips in Africa or Antarctica. Il-76 MDK, Cosmos, the Vomit Comet, a reinforced Il-76 used to train cosmonauts. It flies in parabolic arcs to create zero gravity inside the cabin. Il-76LL, the testbed, the mutant, an Il-76 used to test new engines. One of the 4 engines is swapped out for a massive experimental one, making the plane look asymmetrical. Il-78, Midas, the gas station, an Il-76 filled with fuel tanks to refuel fighters in midair. A-50 Mainstay, the all-seeing eye, an Il-76 with a massive radar dish on its back. It directs the air war, spotting enemy jets hundreds of miles away. A-60, the Death Star, the laser plane, a classified Il-76 modified with a massive laser cannon turret in the nose. It was the Soviet answer to Star Wars, designed to blind satellites. Il-80, Max Dome, the Doomsday plane, the bunker, a windowless Il-86 designed to carry the Russian command during a nuclear war. It is built to survive the end of the world. Finally, the modern era, struggling to survive sanctions and modernize. Il-103, the Teacher, a tiny, single-engine piston trainer for civilian pilots, a rare small plane from a bureau of giants. Il-114, the Regional, a modern turboprop designed to replace the aging Antonovs. It has struggled with engine reliability for decades. Il-112V, the Tragedy, a light military transport designed to replace the ancient N-26. The prototype crashed in 2021, putting the program in jeopardy. Il-212, the Pivot, the New Hope, announced in 2024 to replace the failed Il-112V. It swaps propellers for jet engines mounted on top of the wings, echoing the old Il-40 design. Il-276, the Future Lifter, a proposed medium-lift transport jet concept. A-100, Premier, the Future Eye, the modern AWACS, the replacement for the A-50 using a digital radar to track stealth fighters. Il-496, the Survivor, a modernized version of the Il-96. Since sanctions have cut off Boeing and Airbus, Russia is trying to revive this 4-engine giant to keep its airlines flying.